Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the WE Knives and Gavko Knives Hi-Fin, which is a knife that I've been very excited about here for just a little bit. Thanks so much to WE Knives for sending this in for me to take a look at. Thanks so much to my patrons for supporting me, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. This knife should be available at the time of this video, at the time that you are watching it. If you're watching it the day that I uploaded it, I will link it right down below so you guys can check it out. There are a few different variants, so if this color scheme is not to your liking, there's probably one that is more to your liking. It does help my channel when you use my links, but that's entirely up to you. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this knife. It is smaller than I thought, but it does work beautifully well ergonomically, and we'll talk more about that. Overall length of the Hi-Fin coming in at 7 inches. Blade length is just a hair, it's right at 3 inches. Cutting edge is 2.5 inches. Let's do some size comparisons, just a few today, up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2. You can see it's definitely close to the size of the Rat 2. How about up against the Spyderco Para 3? And let's do the Demco AD 20.5. Very similar in overall size to both of these. And then finally, we'll put it up against the Benchmade Bug Out. Benchmade Bug Out just a little bit longer. How's the action on this guy? Excuse me, I still have the Band-Aids. The action is actually very good. This knife is very, very easy to manipulate and honestly feels a bit smoother than a lot of the other WEs that I've handled. Come on, should I leave that in or am I gonna edit it? I'm gonna leave it in. It feels smoother, the action feels smoother than some of the other WE knives that I have experienced in the past. That's how I should have worded that. But yeah, thumb stud deployment, awesome. And the thumb stud size is awesome. These are very easy to get at, and it's just beautifully simple to manipulate considering it's on the smaller side. I'm not gonna call it a small knife. It's still about medium size, but yeah, it's very easy to manipulate, very easy to access. The lock bar, it's been cut slightly above the show side scale and scalloped so you can get your thumb in there. Beautiful, very good. I like this, I like the action on it, it's really nice. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's about the same, but the scales on the Hi-Fin are contoured. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. It's a little shorter actually than even the Para 3 closed, and still nowhere near as tall, even including these little ridges and notches and things like that. It's really not going to be that big of a deal in the pocket. Materials we are looking at, we'll probably have to zoom in to be able to see it, maybe not. CPM 20 CV, that is American 20 CV. There's always people confused by that. Yeah, it's 20 CV, but it's Chinese 20 CV. Nope, it's American 20 CV. They get it from the same place, right? So if you see CPM 20 CV on a Rick Hinderer knife and CPM 20 CV on a WE knife, both of them came from Crucible originally. That is true, right? The end result in terms of the geometry and the heat treatment, and that's up to the company who creates the knife out of it, right? But yeah, no, it's not Chinese 20 CV, it's American 20 CV, despite this being a knife that is manufactured in China. So titanium, and then we have, to my knowledge, it's actually heat-treated steel hardware, which is what's, why it's bronze. But titanium clip, titanium scales, and 20 CV blade. Let's go ahead and weigh it. There is milling on the inside, by the way. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I was thinking of the last knife that I was looking at. There is no milling on the inside for weight reduction. Interesting. Weight on the Hi-Fin coming in at 3.49 ounces. So 3 inches of blade for 3.5 ounces of weight. Not perfect ratios, but 3.5 ounces of knife, even for a 7-inch overall knife, is really not that big of a deal. The balance on this thing is right where you put your index finger, exactly where you put your index finger. So it does not feel heavy or blocky in hand at all. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. The pivot is a T8. The lock bar insert screw is a T8. The body screws are T8, and even the pocket clip screws are T8. There's only one body screw on each side, which I think is fantastic. We don't need more than one standoff, and honestly, the design, it would have been awkward, right? That's just great. This is going to be a beautifully simple knife to take apart. Beautifully. Sorry about that. Real nice stuff. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. You know, how many times... There it is. These calipers are never in the same place. Blade stock thickness, 115, that's my guess. Nope, a little more. It says 122, 123. I'm going to guess it's about 125 thousandths, which is pretty typical for wee knives. Okay, so I intentionally did not look up the overall length of this because I wanted to be pleasantly surprised. Ideally, I had hoped when I looked at the picture that it would be 8.5 inches long, and I thought, if it's at least 8 inches, that'll still be pretty cool. I did not expect it to be 7 inches. I was a little bit disappointed in the overall size of it, but that's a preference thing, right? Does it work well as a 7-inch knife? Holy crap, yes it does. This is a super cool looking wee knife, and I don't know, I'm not saying everybody's gonna think like me, but I know that there's a lot of you out there thinking, thank goodness this is not another straight folding steak knife looking design from Wee or Civivi. I am tired of those. And you know, a lot of people like them, and they obviously work because Wee is doing very well and they make a lot of them, so I'm not gonna tell Wee how to do their stuff, right? But this is just a breath of fresh air. The ergonomic lines in this thing are absolutely beautiful. This is a knife that if you really crunch in there, you can get a full grip on even just the regular part of the handle here, but choking up in this choil area, which is more than roomy, and combining that with the thumb position behind this notch here, this is just magic. This feels great. I am right-handed, so if you're wondering, does that pocket clip create a little bit of a hot spot? Yeah, just a little bit. It is rounded. It's got kind of a spoon bill at the end, and fortunately, they did not come up and over, which is what they usually do. Just up. It probably could have been a little bit shorter, but you know what? It's fine. The ergonomic lines on this are fantastic. It looks cool. It's easy to hang on to. It's easy to manipulate, and that's what I like. I will say, though, you know, if you like smaller knives, then here you go. Like, the rest of this review is going to be pretty good. But I really want them to do this exact same thing in an XL version. I've heard some people say this, and I think that they're largely correct. Wee has this weird fascination lately with making a lot of knives not small, but on the smaller side. Wee knives, we have enough of those. And I think you should keep making them. Like, as far as your lineup goes, you have enough. And you should keep doing them. But consider making some big stuff for a little bit, right? There's definitely still a market. And if you don't believe me, look through some of my videos covering excessively large knives. People really like those. You don't need to make insanely, thick, crazy. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying there is absolutely still a market and absolutely still a functional place, right? Because it's not just about what people will buy. It's about what people will use. There's absolutely still a place for larger folding knives in this community, right? Which consists of enthusiasts, collectors, and users. Wee Knives absolutely caters to all three categories. Make a bigger version of this. Or Gavko, design a bigger version of this. I mean, this thing would be freaking sick, right? Just a scaled up, bigger version of this, beefier version of this. Doesn't have to be crazy. Maybe you go 145 thousandths on the blade stock thickness, right? Maybe you go 3.65, 3.75 inches of blade and you go at, an 8.5 inch overall folder, right? With a little bit beefier scales, scaled up, of course. Man, can you imagine with me? Let's get the tape out again. This exact knife, but we're gonna do 8.5 inches. Oh, at least 8.25, which would be right here. Oh, please, please. This is such a beautiful profile. I love this. I love how the blade, like the handle is not, it doesn't look skinny, but I like that the blade is wider or taller. than the overall height, the height of the handle scales. I think it just looks, there's something about that looks really good. I also like the ratio of blade to handle here. You know right away that it's going to be really comfortable in hand, and it is exactly that. This is really nice. I love this notch up here. And it's not just like, oh, it's comfortable, right? The blade is also really great in terms of like utility. And this is where this smaller design shines. You can really get your finger up here on this notch. And then I like these larger choils where you can kind of brace with your middle finger there. So doing draw cuts, really easy. Holding it like here, right? With the tip pointed down, right? If we're going to call this like a reverse Tanto Poon, whatever you want to call it. I like this for EDC. I like the tips down because you still get a tip, so you can still puncture, right? But with the blade down, it's easier to do the draw cuts, and you still have belly in this case for slicing. Speaking of slicing, this has a hollow grind on it, which makes it really good at slicing. We're going to use a little piece of paper that has some notes on it here. Ooh, this is thin stuff too. Oh, this is just candy for people, visual candy. See if we can get a little curly Q. Sorry. It's nice, right? It just is so ready to just shred. It's just really nice. I mean, that's what you want to see. That's where a composition like 20CV is really going to shine, right? Nice thin edge geometry that is meant for light to medium duty cutting. It's going to do that, and it's going to do that very well. On top of that, the other thing I'm happy to report on is that the initial part of the blade right here, if you lay it down flat, it does actually contact the surface. Let me use this to demonstrate here. So if you're imagining like the surface of a kitchen table and you're going to chop a carrot stick or something, the very first part of the edge that contacts is right back here. Boop. Oh, that's nice. So you can do little choppy choppies with it, right? If you like to do food prep with your pocket knife, I don't know why, but if you did, then and you know you weren't trying to cut up, if you weren't trying to like prepare a pineapple or something, then you can do that with this, and that's really nice. I like that. I also very much appreciate this color setup. I've said this before, the concrete finished blade with the bronze accents on the hardware mixed with the sort of matte finished flamed titanium. God, that is nice. It just looks really good. I will say the same thing, kind of, that I have said, the same type of critiques that I've given other Wii knives. I really would like them to start doing texturing. Now, this is contoured, and a lot of times I critique knives that just have plain flat titanium, right? They're kind of sold as a minimalist aesthetic, and I think that's BS. I think it's just, you know, it just costs more to texture it. This knife has enough going for it that I'm not gonna bear down on it too hard and say that because it's not textured, it's really making me mad, but I still would have loved to see like a milling pattern, right? Diagonal lines or something like that all the way across it. I think it would have looked really cool. And I think it would have, it just would have looked a little bit better because it's still really pricey knife, right? Little things like that make me feel better about dropping this type of money on a knife, right? But it's fine the way that it is, but I would have loved to see a texture pattern. Textured patterns are not always 100% necessary. In this case, though, there's a lot of, if you get one that's not flamed, there's a lot of just blank open area, and it really makes it look plain. So adding a little bit of texturing would have looked nice, right? But it doesn't have it, so okay. The blade shape, the blade profile is awesome. It's just an angry, it looks like, Gavko knives all look like sharks, and they named a lot of their knives after sharks. So, and I don't know if the high fin is supposed to, if that's a type of shark, right? If they're talking about a shark fin, I don't know, or maybe just this area right here, but it does look very shark-like, and I like it, right? It looks like something that's swimming in the water to aggressively attack whatever, right? I like it. The funny thing is that this knife is very friendly and very, organic when it comes to manipulation by the human hand. I really like the blade profile. I think it looks awesome. Over here we have Gavko knives, and then it says CPM 20CV, and that's it. So you really, especially on this side, get to enjoy the blade profile. I have never minded where Wii puts their logo. I think that's fine. I also like the black and bronze in contrast with the flame titanium around it. Really nice. The just the hardware that we use always looks really great. I like the polished standoff. It looks fine. And part of me says I would have enjoyed a backspacer, and I would have appreciated that extra effort. Obviously, it costs a little bit more money to mill a titanium backspacer. But then again, they would have needed 2 screws, right? So I'm kind of torn there because I really like this. This is just a one standoff and 2 screw setup here to get the thing apart, including the pivot. So I don't know. The clip itself looks like it is a stamped clip, but it is in fact milled, as is evidenced by taking a look at this area back here, which is sunk into the titanium a little bit. So yeah, and the clip itself will function very well. In and out of the pocket, this is a breeze. And the carry depth is also good as well. Just that much sticking out of the pocket. Really, the only issue with the clip is that it creates a little tiny bit of a hot spot. That's only if you are gripping the knife like this and squeezing very hard while power cutting, right? Outside of that, if you're taking it out of your pocket to make one quick cut to open a box or something, you're not going to care, right? Steel lock bar insert doubling as the over travel stop, which is what we expect. We have a stop pin located in its traditional spot right back here. No blade play up, down, left to right. No lock stick, no pivot lash. Very consistent and smooth. I got to make a point of this again. This is an example of a smoother knife. I get my WE knives directly from WE. They just send me stuff, right? And there's a wide variety of different types of action that I get. So it's, what I'm saying is you could say, well, they just sent you a really, really nice one, right? That's why it's so smooth. Well, that doesn't answer for the other, 80 knives I've received from them that feel a little bit tight and sometimes gritty, right? I'm sure there's variations, whether we sending them to me or people are buying them from retailers, but this one in particular feels exceptionally smooth. It doesn't really take that much encouragement to get the blade to fall down into the handle. It honestly feels like it's just going to get smoother and smoother and smoother. And it's exceptionally impressive because this is a smaller, lighter weight knife with a blade that's not thick or big or heavy or anything like that. So yeah, centering, by the way, on this guy is perfect, and there is no detent lash. This knife comes in at about $250, right? Average, all the standard versions, right? There's slightly more, slightly less. I think it's like $245 to $260 or something like that. So it's right around the $250 price point. Feels pretty good. It's not, for example, we saw the Full Tie Thug 2 come in at $300 base. I think it was even more if you wanted it in flamed titanium, and a satin finish was like $350. So this price isn't super offensive. I mean, if we drop this at $200, I'd have been like, wow, that's amazing, right? $225 would have been like, yeah, it feels about right. $250, it feels about right for WE. It's just like $25 higher, inexplicably higher than the competition on average, right? It's okay. I'm not mad about it. In fact, overall, I honestly recommend this knife. If you like, if you're looking for like a general day-to-day EDC knife that has some premium elements, but beyond all is ergonomic, is easy to manipulate, has a good, blade geometry, blade profile, etc. I'll let you guys know that we consistently heat treats their CPM 20CV that is not coated to 59 to 61 Rockwell. I really think they should bump that up to 60 at base, up to 62. But what are you going to do? That's just my opinion. The DLC versions or the coated versions of these are going to be bumped back a little bit. So you're looking at a range of 58 to 60, which is not great. But if you manage to get one at 60 or 61 and it has a good, that Rockwell hardness mixed with 20 CV and this geometry is just going to be an absolute beast. And it's going to be easy to carry, right? So yeah, in that way I can recommend it. Definitely. I would very much like to see a bigger version of this. This knife would translate perfectly, and would so many people I think would just be like unbelievably excited for a larger version of this. A Hyphen XL should absolutely happen. And that, we doesn't call shots based on what I say, right? So just because I'm asking for it, even if every single person in the comment section says, yes, please give us that, it doesn't mean that they're going to do it. But I think it would be really, really cool if they did. that's going to be pretty much it from me today. Like I said, this will be linked right down below. Sorry, I nicked the camera there. This will be listed right down below in the description if you guys want to check it out. Very cool knife. It'll go on my most recommended knives playlist. Yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for me today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.